Now joining me, three-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, and he is a survivor of non-Hodgkin lymphoma cancer. We'll get to that just in a little bit, as you could visit www.joeandruzzifoundation.org. But Joe's brothers, three of his brothers, are New York City firefighters, and we're here to talk about the reaction to Osama bin Laden as he has been shot and killed by U.S. Navy SEALs. Joe, Zach Gelb here at Shovio.com. A great day in America, a great week, right?
Yes, it has been. It's been a weight that's been up, lifted off a lot of people's shoulders and minds that have been carrying it around for the last 10 years.
Now, what's your reaction? When was the first time that you heard the news that Osama bin Laden has been shot and killed by Navy SEALs? And what was that first thought that popped into your head?
Well, first thought, I didn't believe it. But then, the multiple reports that were coming out and, hearing more about it. And, you had to become a believer, and knowing now what did happen, it's more of a bittersweet kind of reaction. Him now being dead, it's not going to change all those lives that have been lost. What is a lot of people can some way or another find a little bit of closure on what happened 10 years ago.
Did you get a chance to talk to your brothers this week, their courageous efforts that saved a countless number of lives on 9/11? What was that conversation like this week with your brothers?
Truthfully, I really haven't had a chance to talk to them. They've been, both been pretty busy, so we haven't had a chance to really, talk about it. But I'm sure I know through other messages and stuff and talking to, my parents, it's, a relief that that he was the mastermind and now has paid the ultimate price for it, and was cause of many people that have passed on, not only from that day, from the last 10 years, or a lot of military personnel that we lost over the last 10 years. So it's one of those things that you could say, well, it's a little relief, but it's not over. It doesn't. Al Qaeda didn't stop, and terrorism is not going to end right now. So our efforts still are ongoing, and trying to conquer and stay on top of this best we can.
Many people were actually a little bit annoyed that people were celebrating outside of the White House. I thought it was a great occasion for this country. I think it's a thing that provides relief knowing the mastermind of 9/11 is now dead in Osama bin Laden. And there's people out there that say that this week should be a week of remembrance. What do you believe that this week should detail? Should it be a joyous occasion, or should it be a week of remembrance, or even both?
We're definitely not celebrating death. We're celebrating life and, all our armed forces and, the people in the military and everybody involved with, the efforts that have been going on for the last 10 years. We're not celebrating, someone's passing. So if we're celebrating anything, we're celebrating, life right now and, celebrate on what we have and why they over there, they're there for a reason. They're protecting us in this country, and it's a great thing that our armed forces are doing, and a lot of people just don't think about it; they just do it. And I think it's definitely a day, a week, or months leading up to the anniversary of remembrance, because time goes on, and sometimes people do forget, and with this coming about, timing. Up the 10-year anniversary coming up, and it is a remembrance, and it's we got to remember what did happen and why we've been out there for the last 10 years, and trying to take control of another 9/11 never happening in this country again.
We're talking to Joe Andruzzi. And Joe, let's take you back to September 11, 2001, a terrible day in this country where many people lost loved ones. The total death count was 3,000 Americans. When did you first hear that two planes hit the World Trade Center? I bet you woke up thinking it was a regular morning. Were you at practice? When did you first hear that the United States was under attack?
It was a Tuesday, so it was our day off in the NFL, and I was actually sitting in a dentist chair at a dentist appointment that morning, and listening over the radio that the first initial report was a small plane hit the Twin Tower. By the time I left the dentist's office, and on the radio, another plane hit, and the reports were coming out. And by the time I got home and realizing and trying to call my family down in New York and not getting anybody from I was getting tornado warnings, and I couldn't get through to anybody. So it was a good 5 or 6 hours before I got a phone call from my dad telling me that my brother made it out and he's safe. He was in Tower 1 and when Tower 2 fell, and was running out of Tower 1 when it was falling behind him. And we're fortunate enough to have him back in our lives, but there's a lot of families that aren't as fortunate.
That would be your brother Jimmy, right, who just made it out of the building?
Yes.
And now, it just must have been so tough. You're sitting in a dentist chair, you're hearing all these kinds of things. Did you ever sit there and after it happened, did you reflect with your family on what happened that day at 9/11? It must have been a tough moment, I'm sure, for you and your family.
Oh, yeah, we talked about it, and, when they canceled the games the following weekend, I drove down. I left my wife and kids in Massachusetts, so I drove down for the weekend to be with my family. And my kids didn't need to see what was going on. They were young at the time. And just to be there and have my brother walk in the house with it, holding two fingers an inch apart, saying that's how close he was to losing his life. And, and having, no words needed to be said, and just grabbing him and holding him and giving a great big hug and, having him there. But, it wasn't, just that, those days around it. It was the efforts, afterwards, and the cleanup effort, and, my other brothers, involving with the cleanup efforts and everything else that went along with that. My youngest brother, his first day, he broke the academy the Friday before, and his first day on the job was 9/11. And, what a way to start your new career. But, they learned how to deal with stuff, and, to start off with a huge tragedy like that, and the rescue efforts and everything pertaining to that was tough on them. But to turn around, they're getting through it like many others, and you have to move on and move forward. But, there's still, keep it in the back of your mind, and remember, what did happen, and why we're still fighting terrorism in this country.
You were so close to this situation. You were affected like none other. How tough was it to return back to the game of football and hit big defensive ends after what this nation went through come that Jets game?
It was pretty tough, especially when Mr. Kraft invited my brothers to be honorary captains that day, and representing what they stood for, not representing the name on their back, or not representing me. They were there for one reason, for what they stood for, and for our country, and for all the men and women that were lost that day. And when they stood out there, and probably one of the only times that New England Patriot fans were holding hands with the New York Jet fans, and turned around, and it was tough to start, but I do truly believe that the country needed it. The NFL had to go on and go back to those 3 or 4 hours of watching sports got people through certain tough times.
Now, I'll never forget the moment when you came out of that tunnel against the New York Jets and you were waving that American flag. What was that like for you, having your brothers at the game and being able to represent America by holding the figure of the American flag and waving it to screaming fans and people that were just energetic to get their lives tried to get them back to normal after this terrible tragedy?
That was I did that on the last minute. The flags were hanging up in our locker room when we were being called out, and it just came to my mind. And being that we were playing the New York Jets, and everybody knew my story. I grew up in New York. I'm a Staten Island native, and everybody knew about my brothers at that time when the story came out. And when they called my name, and to see my brothers out there in midfield, and knowing what our country was going through, which is a lot of emotions going through my body, and to have those flags and holding them up strong in the air, because our country was watching those moments at that time, and to hear that crowd roar, and know what that stood for. They were roaring because of our freedom.
We're talking a three-time Super Bowl champion, Joe Andruzzi, number 63 for the New England Patriots. And Joe, I had Kevin Falk on the show, a former teammate of yours who has been a great running back for many years. And I asked him the question, which one of his, out of the three Super Bowls were his favorite? And he said to me, the next one. I would have to imagine the Super Bowl where you defeated the St. Louis Rams is your favorite one because of what happened at 9/11, having your brothers at the game and just sharing that moment after the Super Bowl, after you had one of the greatest upsets in NFL history, defeating the St. Louis Rams. I would imagine that was your favorite Super Bowl?
I can't say the next one because I'm retired. But, that one has to be right up there at the top. Having my brothers there and my family and everybody on the field holding that Lombardi trophy up, because my family's who I am. They're a huge part of me. I'm the one that was on the field with my teammates, but they're a part of me. They're a part of that trophy and part of that championship. That I had them there. My brothers were invited by Paul Tagliabue to be a part of the ceremonies, and holding that trophy up. I got a great picture of all of us on the field holding that trophy up and screaming, yelling, and being able to have my brother in my life, and we're a very close-knit Italian family, and we lean on each other a lot, and to have us there, Patriots, it was very symbolic of Patriots, red, white, and blue, and to have us pull it out, it was a great year for us.
Now, Rashard Mendenhall, who plays running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he had some controversial words on Twitter. Let me just read you a few things what he wrote. I'm sure you know about it. He says, "What kind of person celebrates death? It's amazing how people can hate a man they have never even heard speak." And another one was, "I just have a hard time believing a plane could take down a skyscraper demolition style." That really pisses me off, I'll be honest with you. For someone to question the validity of 9/11, I think is disgusting. And I understand you don't want to celebrate death, but he basically said he wants to give Osama bin Laden, this is how I look at it, the benefit of the doubt because he never heard him speak. And this is a man that, as you know, executed a plan that killed 3,000 people in America. What's your thought about what Rashard Mendenhall had to say?
Well, like I said, we're not celebrating death, but, we go in there and it's been a 10-year hunt. And we turn around and, we did take him down, and then we did honor his religion, and we did it with dignity. We honored his religion, and within 24 hours, and did with his body what his religion follows. And you turn around and you say something about 9/11, and I guess he wasn't watching the TV. I guess he wasn't there. I guess he didn't have somebody close to him or somebody he knew. Usually you look around, there's some connection of somebody who you know from that day. If not that day, then somebody in Afghanistan, Iraq, and somebody that has fallen. And look at the best story you go around. Look at a guy like Pat Tillman. Gave up his football career and turned around and went into the armed forces, went into being an Army Ranger. And unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He paid the ultimate price, but gave up the fame and fortune to fight for our country. And he fought for him, and he doesn't realize. I guess he doesn't realize that he's what's going on out there, and he I don't know what he's trying to say about why a plane would amount of jet fuel wouldn't be able to take down a building. We all saw what happened that day. I don't know what his beliefs are, what he's thinking of. I mean, there's a lot of people who cherished that day into disbelief and to dishonor some people and how they lost their loved ones. Could hurt a lot of people.
You can visit www.joeandruzzifoundation.org to donate to his charity, trying to help out people with non-Hodgkin lymphoma. And I understand that you actually had this disease and you are a survivor of it. Tell me a little bit more about your foundation and your experience with this cancer.
Well, during my playing career, I've been a part of many, groups, organizations, foundations, funds, and a big one was, cancer fund that I raised over $500,000 for. And 3 years later, I'm calling them for my own help. My career was cut short after 10 years. I was diagnosed with Burkitt's lymphoma, which is a form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's a type of cancer, and it's one of the most aggressive cancers out there. It doubles in size in 24 hours. So I went from a stomachache one day to getting chemo 2 weeks later. So I spent 50-plus days in the hospital, and sometimes 5 to 10 days straight at chemo. And then just sitting there, knowing what we'd done. My wife would be by my side, and we wanted to do more for people. We wanted to do, personal touches and help people out. I was fortunate enough to play in the NFL and, to have a background like that. And other people aren't as fortunate, and cancer is not cheap. So a foundation where we still fund funding for brain cancer research at Boston Children's Hospital, but we now help and give financial assistance to families that are struggling, and we turn around and not just pay for the medical bills, but we're helping in the back end where people struggling that can't make a mortgage payment and can't pay the heating bills or electricity. So we're there to step in, and we're there, helping a lot of people out. And we have a whole bunch of things going on each year. We have our golf outing coming up May 23rd at the TPC here in Boston, and we're looking forward to a great day. And we have a big gala event in November. Help raise a lot of money, help raise funds, and we also have third-party events and just multiple things that we can do. And the ultimate goal is, the cure, of course, but, we're into helping others and turn around and use my, celebrity status in this area and put a smile on, whether it's a kid or an adult, where I could show up and, bring my Super Bowl rings and, have the young kid try them on and pick his spirits up for that small amount of time goes a long way, not only for them, but for myself, too.
Now, the Patriots, they drafted a kid by the name of Marcus Cannon, and he suffers from the same disease that you did. What's in store for this young man? He hasn't had it for any kind of length of time.
Well, God bless him for going to the combine, huh?
Yeah.
They figured out something was wrong there, and he got tested there. I read the initial report on him. I haven't had a chance to speak with him or anything, but I wish him the best of luck, and pray for him every day, and getting through it. But it's one of the things where it's going to get worse before it gets better, and it's how you got to look at it. You got to take it one day at a time. The chemo's it's a drug. It catches up to you. It's gonna run you a little ragged, but he's a big physical kid that going to listen to his doctors, I'm sure, and take the best treatment available, and just move forward. Take it one day at a time.
Joe, thank you so much for coming on. I can't thank you enough. Once again, the foundation is www.joeandruzzifoundation.org. Go visit it, check it out, go donate, and help out Joe Andruzzi in his fight against non-Hodgkin lymphoma cancer. Joe, thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you very much.